Hi guys, let's take a walk through my sewing studio. Space is at a premium in California, so I had to take the tiniest room in my house and make it into my own little sewing haven. It is small, but it is mine. So here is my little sewing corner. This is a Singer Heavy Duty Digital, and that's my little overlocker that I almost never use because I love a good zigzag stitch. And I've got a daisy painting I created over my sewing desk, and there are all my pins in the corner there. I have this little shelf right next to my desk with all my essentials. I have all my cutting tools on the top, and then I have butcher paper for drafting and my favorite scissors over there. And I keep all my bias tapes and things there as well. Here's my cutting board. It's adjustable. I have this light. I film all of my tutorials on there with my iPhone. I have all of these patterns in the corner that I'm working out in this little basket. And then of course I've got my big cutting mat, which is used every day. That is my scratch pad for working out new patterns. I have a full-length mirror, of course, for trying things on. Here is my fabric corner. I store all of my fabric on these shelves. All of my projects that are in progress are in these baskets on the top and all organized so that everything doesn't get messy. There's some extra filming equipment there. And then everything here is organized by color. There are my silks. I hide them in these drawers so they don't get snagged. And there's my batted fabrics. Here are bias tapes, elastics, and all of the buttons I collect every time I'm in Paris. And here are all my sewing patterns. These hooks that I used on the wall just stick to the wall without damage, and they only hold so many, which is good because it forces me to cycle through new patterns, which is really great. I hid an extra sewing machine there in the corner. And here is where I keep my iron. I hide it on the back of the door. This girl gets a lot of use. And I hang all of my extra cutting tools and mats on the door or next to the door. There are all of my works in progress. That's a nightie I'm making. Here's a top that I drafted from a Farm Rio top I loved. I've made it in this pattern that I designed. That is an Essex linen. It's in our Spoonflower shop. There's a cotton. There's a rayon challis. I like to make things in all different fabrics so I know which one is best for the pattern. Here is some artwork that my husband and I picked up on our honeymoon in Spain near the Mediterranean. Here is a series that I did when we first moved to California. It's acrylic and based on the sunrise. Here's a print I picked up in Boston, which I thought was really cool, next to a picture of one of my grandmothers, and my Yeti mic, of course, because I record everything with a Yeti. My little candle, that's essential. And lastly, my spider plant, because you have to have some greenery. Cheers.